Okay, modem case is another exercise for the surface modeling. As you will see in this exercise, this homework, essentially there are two parts. It's a multi-body parts. One of them is cover, and another is backlight. So let's start with making a cover. It shows that there is a file that we can open it, which essentially it says there is a solid work part here for initial surfaces and sketches. But we'll start by opening that to see what is the contents, and you will see that it has the first two surface has been two extruded surfaces here. Some sketches for cutout is given here. So we'll start by making the first the side surface and then mirror it, making the top one and front and back. So you will see that we have to keep this part. So essentially we start trimming this surface here. Go to the surface tab, select the trim surface, and we are using the top surface as a tool. Then I would select the keep selection option, and I would like to keep this area. Hit OK. Then the top portion of that surface is gonna get trimmed. I don't need these top surface anymore, and I cannot trim it completely. The right way is to delete this body. So if I search for delete, if I spell it correctly, it's a delete/keep body, which I want to option select delete bodies, and then that would be my selection, and hit OK. And then I don't have that top surface anymore. Go back to drawing. It seems like this is mirrored, so I would like to mirror this surface. So while this surface is selected, essentially I can click body, but go to feature, and I wanted to mirror it with respect to front plane. So if I select front plane to save my word, I go to the mirror option, then the front plane would be filled as a mirrored surface. We have to select a body because this is a surface body. Then I would select my body here, surface trim 1, hit OK. And then you have your mirrored surface here. Then going back to, you will see that it's the three sketches should be drawn, and by previous exercise, we know that we have to create three separate 3D sketches for each portion. I'll start from the back, and then all these three surfaces and the edge of that, you are going to use a lofted surface or boundary surface to fill the top portion. So starting from this back curve here, it sounds like there is a radius of 3 inches would be the one that we have to select here. So going to sketch and drop down, select 3D sketch. Then I would select a 3-point arc, and I would select this point. Second point would be we have to make sure that what is the plane. So obviously I have to start by XZ is the plane that I have to put. So hit tab, then it is ZX, then second point, and then come here, go to smart dimension, and I will select radius of 3 inches for this entity. Then for the remainder of two arcs, we have to have a separate sketches for that. So exit out of it. And then I will start the second sketch. For second curve, it's like a form of in a perpendicular plane with the radius of 8. So I will start another 3D sketch. And if I want it to be in a perpendicular plane, sort of like on top of it, it would be in a YZ plane. So I would select my 3D point arc, but this one I'm going to tap to YZ plane. I will start from any point of here and adding here, and then I will dimension it later. So we know that if I go to smart dimension, radius of this arc would be 8. Click, enter 8, hit enter, and then the distance from each side is 2.223. So what I'm gonna do, smart dimension of this point and this point is 2.223 inches. Similarly, distance from this point and this top point is 2.223 inches. So that would put the arc in a proper location. Exit out of the sketch and start the third and final sketch, which the last one is again in a horizontal plane with a radius of 4. So pick this one, and the proper would be YZ or ZY, or I'm sorry, ZX. At a point here, second point here, leave it somewhere, smart tool, and at a radius of 4. Then this should be all the 3 sketches is defined. So we can either select the lofted surface or we can select the boundary surface. Both should work. So I go to the surfaces and I would select boundary surface, for example. In direction 1, clear selection. Direction 1 would be the 3 sketches that I have, and that would be my direction 1. Don't worry if it is twisted. And when you are giving the guided edges for in direction 2, which this would be these 2 edges, you don't need to be worried about these twist problem. So in direction 2, I would select this edge of this curve and then another edge of this curve. And now the surface is in the preview is fully defined. Hit OK. And I would have my top surface here. Great. So we're done with this part. Left profile and side profile is already the sketches that are already given. You don't need that. Then we need to have some cutout and some closing parts as well as the fillet. So essentially, we need to close this top and the back portion. So I'll start with closing the top portion. So I need to create a sketch here on the top plane to be matches with this top and then close it. So go to the top plane, start a sketch, and essentially I can select this arc, and when this arc is selected, I would convert entity. Then exit out of the sketch, and you will see that you have already created this curve. So I have this sketch and done 4 sides. Then I can go with field surfaces. I would select this sketch as well as these 3 edges that I have, and that should be defined, this surface. Okay. To fill the back of it, I need to create the same technique. Go to the top plane, and then this time I would select this edge and then convert entities. Back, then you have this one, which you can use. Go to field surfaces, the newest sketch along with all 3 edges for the boundary of this field surface. Hit OK. All right, we have defined everything except the bottom portion, and for bottom portion we don't need to fill that because it would be a separate part, which is here. We just focus on it, making the cover out of this. So first, the next thing that I have to do, I will see that there are sort of fillet that is located here, a fillet here, a cutout, and a front and back. Front and back. So let's start by creating a fillet. It says that from top, you see that it's a 1-inch radius for here. But before doing that, we need to first knead all of these surfaces together. So I'll go to the knead surface and I would select all the surfaces that I have, 5 surfaces in total, and then knit them together, which would be here. Now I have 1 bodies, which I can now apply a fillet radius, which is 1-inch symmetrical, so 1-inch constant radius, and I would pick my edges surrounding this. So I pick my 4 edges here. Okay, I have my fillet. Now I would start by cutting out off of these all of these sketches. So here I do have that the sketch is sketch 5, but sketch 5 is undefined, which if I go there, I need to define it. Majority of the dimension of these sketch is provided. The only thing that I need to define it is might be some other information that it needs here. For example, it would say that this distance is 0. So maybe I have to define a few data points from here. Like if I select this point, maybe this line, make sure that these are coincident. Locate on that line. It's not the case. What else is not given here? So 2, this one is the corner of a 3.75. Sounds like it is. All the dimension is given. Let's move one of these assets, see one of these entities and see how it's moving. Oh, okay. So it means that this point is not fixed to this point. So together, they're making coincident. Yep, there you go. Now it's fully defined. Did not want it too much effort. So sketch now it's fully defined and I can create a cutout off of this. So I will select sketch 5. I use a trim surface and I would say I wanted to remove these holes. So I would select remove and I would select all of these holes that has to be removed off of that top surface. You will see that it is gonna be completely out. Okay. So we can create these holes, cut it in the surface mode or in the solid mode. It's both of them should work. So let's say I will do that in, let's say I create a solid out of this. Should be ready to do that. So I go to the thicken command and I would select my surface here. And it seems like if I wanted to create that surface, the thickness of that line is as oh, before doing that, we need a fillet radius here. Let's apply that 1/8 of an inch. So let's cancel this. I need to apply a fillet here. Let's select these, not that, this edge for 1/8 of an inch surrounding. Okay, now we should be ready for making it thickened, but let's find what is the thickness of that. It seems like if I wanted to find the thickness, what information can we look? Maybe if we look at this section here. So the thickness of the lead is 0.1 inch. And probably we can select the same thickness applied to here as well, which would be 0.1. So I'm going back using a thicken command. Here's my surface of 0.1, but I need to create not both direction. So one way to do that is if I hit OK, it would be 0.2 inches because it's either direction, or I can divide the thickness to half, and then that would be in either direction, but the overall thickness is 0.1. Okay. So I do have two cutouts to create, which I'm gonna go to not top plane, maybe right plane is the one that I need to select, but the cutout should be somewhere in different mode. So I would select the right plane for separate type of the cutout. So first, the easiest cutout is one hole in the back, which is 1/4 of an inch with 0.185 from here, from the center. So we'll select a circle here, dimension is 1/4 of an inch, and then distance from the center is 0.185, and hit escape. This one and the origin should be vertical relation. There you go. Is that accurate? Yeah. And then we needed to create a cutout, which I would select a extrude cut, and then I would say through all in that direction. Okay. If you could have made this whole cut in the surface mode, but if you plan to doing that using a trim surface, you need to do that before knitting all the surfaces together. So go to the right plane and start a new sketch, and this time I wanted to create these 5 holes. It seems like the diameter is 0.188, so I will create the first one, maybe here, for example, and here is 0.885, is it correct? 188, 0.188. Okay, that's the diameter. And then it says that this distance is 0.575 twice. So the distance from here to here is 0.575 multiplied by 2. It's horizontal distance, and then vertical is 0.338 from here to here. The reason that I create the far left hole is because then I can easily pattern this one. What I'm gonna do, smart dimension, while this circle is selected, I go to the linear sketch pattern, and I can create 5 instances, and the distance between each instance is 575. I put one here and then another 5, and hit OK. Okay, now you can create your hole. If you wanted to make sure that this is fully defined, you can dimension one of these 2 sketches to make sure that it is fully defined. And then having that, it should be from different direction, right? But what you have to do, if you start from here, it's gonna cut through a lot of these points. So go to feature, extrude cut. I wanted to make sure that I would add some offsets, and the through all is in different direction here. But if I create some offset, it's gonna offset from here, so I don't want to prematurely cut it. So I would give that, let's say, 3 inches, then it's gonna cut through this one. If you started from the beginning, it's gonna cut from this side all the way. Okay, so you have that cut as well, nice and clean. Now the last piece is the back cover that you have to do that. So for the back cover, you see that first, if I zoom a little here, sounds like that back cover sits on some groove that I have to create. And you see that the groove is like from the side of this cover for 0.35 is the length of the total of that groove. So let's create the groove first. So I go to select this plane and start a new sketch, and I wanted to cut some portion of it. So what I can do is I need to offset this edge for 0.35 inches. So I go to offset entities, 0.035, and I would select this edge, but maybe can I loop it? If I select right click, select the loop. I was hoping it could give me the loop, but okay, so I have a difficulty selecting that loop. So, oh, I wanted to select it in a different direction. So let's not select the loop. Let's select it from, again, starting from this edge, and I would select them manually, I think. So what I can do, I can go to offset entities again, select this edge. You have to be patiently select all edges to make sure that it's create a nice offset here to here. So you see that now I have a clear loop. So I would select OK. So now that this loop is created, I can extrude cut to a downward for 0.1 inches. So then I would select extrude cut and make it blind for 0.1 inches. So hit OK, you will see that a groove is gonna create here. Okay, so now that that groove has created, it's if I create a smaller offset from that groove for 0.005 inch, then I can create my second part, which is that. So how do you select another part? Is the simple another boss extrude, but not merge with this file. So how do you do that? Again, select this state, select sketch, and then I have to select, since this is what that edge would be the one that I have to create offset. So another offset entities, this one is 0.005 inches. And then I will select this, but I have to reverse it because the part would be there again. You have to patiently and accurately select these edges. You can rotate it to conveniently see what entities you pick. If you don't, you can cancel it and repeat it again to make sure that you get what you want. And I will create that offset toward outside. So hit OK. And then I can boss extrude that for 0.1 inch from that, but make sure the merge result is unchecked. Otherwise, it's going to merge with this part. And of course, I want it in a different direction. So hit OK. That would be your blade. You can color it if you want. You see what does it look like, but it's optional. And that conclude the modeling of that. We created the lead, we create the holes and everything. You don't need to separate this. This is just for demonstration purposes. If I create a crosscut, you will see that And I can examine that, how this lead is sitting here. See that there's a little gap that this lead is sitting here. And that concludes this practice.